You're listening to Your Magical Midlife. This podcast is for women who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-the-box thinkers. If you're a Gen X woman who never quite fit in, and probably never will, listen up. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and coach, and I'm here to guide you through the expansive, exhilarating, and sometimes exhausting crossroads that we find ourselves in at midlife. Whether you're a seasoned listener or just joining the adventure, think of this podcast as your hot pink convertible cruising down the highway of change. Together we'll navigate the sometimes baffling backroads of midlife and collect all the cool souvenirs along the way. Get in and buckle up. Our map may have flown out the window miles ago, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to have a blast. Let's hit the road and discover the magic just around the bend. Rosebud Woman was developed in response to women's unaddressed needs for beautiful, luxurious products that provide relief and pleasure, whether it be for period pain, pregnancy, perimenopausal woes, or menopause symptoms. Intimate wellness products are often designed to use with a sexual partner or medicalized to treat a diagnosed issue. Rosebud Woman feels different. It feels ceremonial, like I'm doing a beauty ritual while addressing my 50-plus-year-old body's needs. Their everyday honor balm is gynecology tested and hormone-free. It hydrates, conditions, and replenishes intimate skin. It is excellent for all phases of a woman's life. Go below to my show notes and use the affiliate link for 20% off. This week marks 1 year since I left my corporate job, and it's been an up and down adventure. Most of the time, I am so incredibly grateful and happy that I was able to gather up all my courage and take that leap. And sometimes I think I must have been fucking crazy to leave that safe, secure, well-paying job that was predictable, routine. Every day when I logged in at 8 a.m., I knew exactly what I had to do, exactly what was expected of me, and exactly how much money I was going to make. Fast forward a year later, I wake up at 5:30. I go for a walk right away. I get up, I brush my teeth, I put my sneakers on, I grab my headphones, and I head out the door. I walk for an hour and 40 minutes-ish, and then I come home and I figure my day out. Most days I have therapy clients. Some days I don't have therapy clients, and I do other things for my business. And my day is mine to run, which is so amazing. Oh my God, it's so amazing. One of the things I was so terrified of was that I was going to completely fall apart in the routine department. I thought I couldn't discipline myself. I was not going to be able to get up, get showered, get dressed, do things, organize a caseload, organize a client list, organize whatever. I thought I would completely fall apart. And thankfully, that's not true. I think I've been running, though, on a lot of fear and anxiety. I think I'm fueled by the fear of losing my home, losing my car, losing every single thing I've worked for. So that's running me, and it's still running me. And my nervous system is a little bit jacked. I have to admit, it's scary to work for yourself. It's scary to work for yourself in such an uncertain time, such an uncertain economy, such an uncertain world. But I love not answering to anybody but myself. I love the adventure of building this business. It feels so good to me. And that's how I know that even if I never reach my lofty Your Magical Midlife vision, which is a whole vision, by the way. My vision is not just this podcast, if that's how you found me. I love having this podcast. I love having guests on. I hope you're enjoying the guests I've had on in the second season. But my vision is so much bigger than this podcast. My vision is to do individual coaching once a week with 20 women, one-to-one, have a small group coaching pod, have a program that I walk them through, have retreats, eventually have my own midlife tarot deck, eventually have my older person community, and to do speaking events, maybe write a book, maybe write a journal prompt situation, a planner. I love a paper planner. Why not have one? I have a vision that keeps evolving and growing. And I feel really excited because my life is now mine to map out. When I had my corporate job, I knew exactly how my day was going to go. I logged in at 8 o'clock. I made my outbound calls that requested clinical information on all the patients I had at various facilities. And then I waited for calls back, or I waited for clinical to be faxed. I processed the clinical. I took lunch at some point. I processed more clinical. I made follow-up calls. I called 5 o'clock on the dot. I logged out. That was my day. Every day, 5 days a week, for a decade. That was my day. And it was made very clear to me from kind of early in my tenure at my job that I was not someone they had slated to be moved up into a team lead or a supervisor or anything other than the job that I had when they hired me. And they said that it was because I did an enormous amount of work. I was the ultimate pick-me girl. I was always taking on my work and whoever else's work who needed help, or whoever was on maternity leave, or whoever was on a medical leave, or whatever. And I was always taking on more than my quote-unquote fair share, and feeling very resentful for the people who did not do the same. So it was the perfect place for me to feel a little bit victimized, a little bit taken advantage of, a little bit pissed off, and a little resentful all the time. So there was a series of layoffs that I had actually been praying for because I didn't think that I had the audacity, the nerve, or the self-confidence to leave that job on my own volition. I thought, maybe I'll get laid off. Maybe I'll get laid off and then I won't have to work here anymore and I'll get a severance package and then I'll finally step into my dreams. And then the layoffs happened and I was not selected to be laid off. The layoffs happened and I was on the team that they chose to keep. And I can speculate as to why that is. Why did they decide to keep me? Part of me is like, well, they kept you because you were already over 50 and there's all these regulations and rules as to why they have to keep everybody over a certain age because, and this is something I'll get to in a moment, it's hard to find a job when you are over a certain age. Okay, so that might be one reason why they kept me. Another reason might be because of the amount of work, the sheer volume of work that I am apparently have the capacity to do. Maybe that. Maybe the third reason was they knew that I recently was out on a medical leave, and even though they didn't know why I was out on the medical leave, they suspected it was because something was obviously wrong with me that I needed to have 2 months off. It turns out that what was wrong with me was not as serious as, it was major surgery. I ended up with a hysterectomy that I didn't want to have, but I didn't have like chemo and radiation, so I say I had baby cancer. I had baby cancer in my baby area, but it wasn't like cancer that needed anything more than surgery. So I got lucky on that, and my job thought something is majorly wrong with her and we can't put her on the layoff list. Maybe. So when I wasn't on the list of people who were going to be laid off, after literally praying for it, hoping for it, trying to manifest it, trying to make it happen, trying to attract a layoff, and then I wasn't even picked. I was so mad. And then a coworker of mine elected to be laid off. And that sent me into a serious tailspin. I was filled with so much jealousy. I couldn't even believe how jealous I was. Because I thought in my head, the only way I was going to be brave enough to leave that job was if it was something that happened to me. I realized I was taking a passive role in my own destiny. I thought, there's no way I can leave this safe, comfortable job unless somehow I'm the victim of a layoff. And once my coworker made that decision, I was inspired to do the same. So after a conversation with my partner and a conversation with one of my oldest, dearest friends who is an HR person, I sent HR an email. I made an appointment. I put myself out there. I stated what I would like to happen. And just like that, I was out the door with a severance package. Much to the shock of my family, my friends, and everybody who was proud of me, hesitantly proud of me, but also very afraid for me. Because when we see somebody make that choice to choose their own happiness, to choose their own life, to choose their own adventure, and to go out on it all on their own without the safety and the security of that corporate structure, it can be very scary to the people witnessing someone do that. Apparently, it's very hard to get a job when you are, they say, over 40 or over 45 or over 50. And by the way, I feel young, and I'm sure you do too. I'm sure you feel like you still have a lot of energy, you still have a lot of time, you still have a lot of ideas, you still have a lot of things to contribute to a work situation or to a company or a corporation. And apparently, if I were to go out and apply for corporate jobs, I probably wouldn't get a whole lot of interest. And I haven't tried. I haven't applied to any corporate jobs. All the ways that I am supporting myself at this time are by doing private practice therapy. For the most part, I have a handful of coaching clients. If you would love to coach with me, I would love to coach you. And I do have some space in my coaching program. You can email me at yourmagicalmidlife@gmail.com to discuss that with me privately off this podcast. But most of the way that I am currently supporting myself is in my private therapy practice, doing therapy with people through their insurance. I'm on a bunch of platforms. I get clients from an employee assistance program, and it's going fine. In fact, it's going better than fine. I have, much to my shock and surprise, almost matched my corporate salary. I'm getting there. I'm close. I'm pretty close. I'm close if you don't count the other benefits that the company gave me, like paid time off, which I don't currently have, paid sick time, which I don't currently have. There's no 401k that's being matched. That's probably a mistake on my part. Not that I can match myself. I can only contribute to a 401k, which I'm not doing right now, which I know is a no-no. But again, it's only been 1 year since I've been out of my job, and I'm working on it. I have a plan. And in fact, I have better than a plan. I have a vision. I have a lovely and large vision that I would very much like to see in the world. So, I'm going to say it's fucking scary. It's scary to walk away from the safety and security of your corporate job. But I knew deep down in my heart that job was going nowhere for me. And I couldn't imagine, even though my work friend who has since passed away, she and I would joke all the time that we were just going to keep on typing until we could collect Social Security. She knew that job was a dead end. I knew that job was a dead end. And we joked about it most of the time, all day long. Back and forth on text, all day long. And I really wish she had made it out too, because she had so much in her. I was squelched by that job, and so was she. Maybe you're in a job where you feel squelched, you feel stuck by the money, you feel stuck by the money. It's always the money, right? And here's a little piece of advice and a little piece of wisdom that I can garner from being out of corporate America for a year. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out because you have to figure it out. I'm figuring it out because I have no choice but to figure it out. And some days I really amaze myself. Some days I'm really, really proud of myself when I allow myself to be proud, because it's a big deal. That job was the golden handcuffs in so many ways. It was easy. It was so easy. Oh my God, it was so easy. I couldn't believe how easy that job was. It was, even when it was high volume, it was still easy. It was an easy job. It paid well. The health insurance was okay. It was all right. I have slightly worse health insurance now that I buy it myself. It was semi-subsidized health insurance. I contributed and they contributed. There was the paid vacation time, which was probably the best part of the whole job, is that I had paid vacations. And now if I need to take time off, it's out of my own pocket because I am self-employed. And when I go to see my dad, I have to figure out how to make those hours up. On the summer holidays, like the 4th of July, Memorial Day, I have to count all that in, as far as like, I know no one wants to be seen for therapy on Memorial Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. These are not days that people want to go to therapy. So I have to account for those times where I normally would be just getting a paid day off. There are no paid days off. If I need to go to the doctor and I need to allot for that time, I need to make up those hours elsewhere. So it's a lot. It's a whole different way of looking at work and looking at the world. And it's a big lesson about money and being careful with my money, not being crazy spendy, being really careful about what I buy, being careful about what I spend my money on, where I spend my money on as far as courses for my business or whatever. And yes, many things when you run your own company, many of your expenses become business expenses, become things you can write off, courses, books, subscriptions, apps that you pay for. Many of those things are things I can write off. So it's a whole thing. And it's a learning process, and it's a steep curve, because there are some days where I do not want to show up for myself, and I do not want to show up for my business, and I want to lay on the couch and watch Bridgerton. I want to lay on the couch and watch Downton Abbey, which I'm now currently watching, and I don't want to do anything. And then I become very afraid. That if I lay down and I watch TV, all my ideas, all my hopes, all my vision, all my energy that I've been putting towards my business will just leak out of my head, spill onto the floor, and disappear into the ether. But I know deep down that's not going to happen. The days that I feel inert, the days that I feel stuck, the days that I feel scared, I know that they're all temporary. And I know that those low mood days, those fear days, that's just the price of admission to choosing my own life, choosing my own adventure, living my life with no regrets. I'm really, really proud of myself, even though there are days I'm like, that was crazy. You shouldn't have left that job. That was insane. You'll never get another job. You're never going to get a job so secure. You're never going to have that security again. There's those days, and then there are the days where I feel immensely excited, immensely lit up, immensely filled with vision and filled with verve and filled with excitement. It's kind of a 50-50. So that's the biggest risk I've ever taken. That's the biggest leap I've ever taken. And I'm so grateful that you've shared this experience with me so far. Thank you so much for continuing to listen. I appreciate you. So I'm going to pull you a card. And let's see what the cards have to say about taking a big leap. Taking a big leap, walking away from your corporate job. It's not for everyone. It's may not be for you. You might be like, you know what? I'm fine. I love my job. I love the routine. I love the certainty. I love the low risk of it. And that's totally cool. If you love your routine and you never want to leave your job, that's totally cool. But you should find some other way to take a tiny risk, to choose yourself and to choose your own adventure. Just saying, because it does feel really, really good. All right, so the card for this episode is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is a card of excitement and energy. It's about things that come in quickly and disappear quickly. That's sometimes like inspiration. Comes in quickly, disappears quickly. The Knight of Wands reminds us to enjoy these things while they last. Enjoy the excitement while it lasts. Enjoy the sexiness and the inspiration while it lasts. And to honor it and let it go when it wants to leave. Don't cling to any idea. Don't cling to anything. It's all temporary. It's all temporary anyway. And we know that. So thank you for listening to my 1 year out of my corporate job anniversary episode. And I'll be back next week with more midlife magic and mischief. Thank you so much for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife. You can also check out my offerings on my website, which is www.yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer individualized coaching for women 45 plus who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-box thinkers. I also offer luxury retreats that include ritual, rites of passage, and ceremony for women 45 and beyond. I'd be so excited to work with you. Also, if you're feeling kind and you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star review as it opens this podcast to a broader audience and keeps me in those pesky algorithms. Thank you so much for your partnership with me. I appreciate you. Have a great week.